Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. Glad you decided to tune in. Hey, we have a special guest today. You saw Coach Holt there on your screen. That is his brother, the Hall of Fame announcer from Oklahoma State University, a huge Dodgers fan, huge Bears fan, who's going on here in just a minute. Rex Holt. Hey, Holt boys, thank you so much for joining.
Always a pleasure, Case. Good to talk to you again.
First of all, Rex, we have not got your thoughts on the World Series, Coach. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I talk to you every day. We're going to talk to Rex here for a minute, right? Hey, give us your thoughts, Rex.
Well, I got to be happy with the starting pitching. You know, that was where everybody agrees the Yankees probably had the edge going in, and boy, they come out and for Flaherty and Yamamoto and those guys to come out and give the Dodgers again quality starts, and then. Again, the offense has been opportunistic, obviously, but that finish the other night is about as good as it gets, the Freddie Freeman grand slam. And again, I remember another hobbled Dodger back in the day that had a pretty memorable walk-off home run in a World Series, and that worked out well. But again, and there's not a better guy on the team. There's not a better guy on the planet than Freddie Freeman. You like to see good things happen to good people. And again, he's had that bad ankle, but it looks like it's feeling better. He hit another one last night. So they're getting contributions up and down the lineup offensively and doing some things well. Just obviously, it was last night's victory, bittersweet with Ohtani trying to steal a base and getting hurt. And I haven't heard the update. They said it didn't pop all the way out.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be good news down the road. I don't know if you've heard a later update.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of deals, and I think it's cool. I think he'll be back personally. That's my personal opinion. I think it's going to come down to just his pain management, and I think we know that the Dodgers have access to all of the most modern types of situations there. So, hey, I want to say, if you heard the voice there, the golden pipes there of Rex Holt, he is in the Hall of Fame for Oklahoma State. He has been doing Oklahoma State baseball play-by-play for, 40 years now, Rex? Is that right?
42 this year,
42.
Yeah.
And he replaced the Hall of Famer Bill Platt,
right,
who replaced the Hall of Famer Kirk Gowdy at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, well, Kirk Gowdy originally, it was the basketball play-by-play guy and football, and the flagship station was out of Oklahoma City, but Bill broke in as the number 2 man there. And then when Kirk Gowdy, of course, eventually went on to New York and a Hall of Fame career, but Bill Platt moved in as the voice. He originally worked in Ponca City, but then they hired him back in Stillwater as they became the flagship station of the Cowboy Network. And Bill at the time did football and basketball and then baseball. And of course, they added wrestling later, which I also do. And Jack Griffith started that, the radio station, first ones to go to the National Wrestling Tournament. And of course, that's a big deal in Stillwater, Oklahoma with Oklahoma State. So anyway, yeah, Bill Platt, it's kind of amazing that, again, when you talk about Cowboy baseball, 90 years, they've had 2 announcers. So, been pretty weird that the good Lord helped us out, and he had a long career, and I'm having a long career, knock on wood, so hopefully it continues a little longer.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Rounding third and heading home. Hey, Coach Holt, what a game it was last night. It got tense there towards the end. I know you and Rex were probably about to throw your remotes at the TV there whenever they walked Rizzo. But, hey, your thoughts so far, Coach Holt?
Same thing. I'll echo the same thing Rex said. We've talked a lot here on the podcast about the starting pitching was the issue. Hasn't been in the World Series. The bullpen got a little rest. Trying in back-to-back days. Maybe obviously wasn't as sharp last night as it was the night before. But the Dodgers, big hits, get some pitching. The Yankees pitching. I know we've talked about this. The Dodgers are the favorites, not only by us, but the people who quote unquote know. But I still have the feeling the Dodgers are the better team.
Yep.
Now, doesn't matter. This is baseball. Doesn't matter what's going to happen between here and there. But they're doing great things. And we've talked about this, the trading deadline. How big is that? Flaherty, Edman, good Lord, and Kopech. Are you kidding me? We won the preseason, as you said, Case. Won the preseason, won the trading deadline. Now we're trying to win it all. It looks great. I love the way the Dodgers are playing.
Hey, I wanted to say before we move on, I love both of you guys to death, but neither one of you are as pretty as your beautiful mother, right? How old is she now?
98.
98 years old. Just had a birthday a couple months ago, so that's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, and she still lives on her own and occasionally makes us a cobbler or something, so it's all good.
It is all good. So that's where it all started right there. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you two and kind of let you guys back and forth with this. really what I wanted to get you on, you guys have been Dodgers fans for a long, long time. And being in the World Series, we made another one of those moments in Game 1 with Freddie Freeman. You know, the comparisons to the Kirk Gibson deal were just absolutely phenomenal, all the different comparisons you could make. You guys start going back and forth. Tell me some of your favorite World Series moments for the Dodgers, or just World Series moments overall throughout the years. I can't wait to hear all these stories.
Oh, I don't know. Tony, of course, a few years younger than me. I'm, again, a little more seasoned, but I can remember when I first started watching baseball and football, whatever. I quit watching cartoons and started watching baseball a little bit, and my older brothers were a big reason for that. They weren't going to watch cartoons, so you kind of, but we were a sports family anyway, and grew up that way. But when I first started paying attention, 63, I'm about 8 years old, and the Dodgers win it. And I can remember just, a family of Drysdale, Koufax, and Padres. And you mentioned me being a Bear fan. That's because of Gale Sayers was my hero when I was about 9 or 10. Same thing with Sandy Koufax, the MVP in 63 when they swept the Yankees. But again, I wasn't quite as tuned in, but they went back in 65. I was all in. Koufax was still my hero, and he's the reason. Again, 60 years plus as a Dodger fan, and that was all about pitching. And you think back to him, I think it was at 65, maybe that was 63, where he lost the game. He didn't pitch on Sunday because of Yom Kippur being Jewish, so he had to pitch Game 2 and lost. And then he came back and pitched Game 5, a shutout. 2 days later, pitched Game 7 on a 2 days rest and had another shutout to wrap it up.
Wow.
Of course, Rex was out watching baseball. I'm 7 years old, Case. I'm still interested in my butterfly handlebars and banana seat bike, jumping through. I was a Dodger fan, but I wasn't really tuned in yet at 7 years old. I do remember, of course, as time went on, I got more into it in the 70s. But, I do have a shirt of the 1955. That's the first Dodger World Series championship. I'm saving it for when we win it, but that's the year Rex was born, the year the Dodgers won it, 1955. So it's a special shirt I have. I'm saving it for when we win it all. But it goes back. I'm more in tune with the 70s. I was, like I said, I was a Dodger fan, but I was probably out chasing around frogs, blowing up stuff with firecrackers. Being a kid in a small town, Oklahoma, Randolette, Oklahoma, go Big Pasture. So, but I remember the 70s, I started getting more into it. And I think I've told you before, I hated the A's, then started hating the Yankees because they kept beating us every year we'd get in there. But I told you a story the other night, and I mentioned it to Rex a minute ago. In 81, we won. Pat Quinn, the great Oklahoma State University sports information director forever, a great guy, one of our great friends. He had us over for the deciding game, and we were at his house drinking Frescas, I think.
Oh, yeah. Cold Fresca.
Maybe sweet tea, having some. The Dodgers won in 1981 is great. But I also mentioned to you that me and Rex, they had a rain out in Montreal in NLCS. Had to come back on Monday and play Montreal. Rick Monday hits a big home run. Me and Rex sitting there in our apartment and diving and tackling each other, whatever we did. Hit a big home run to center field in the top of the ninth. And Fernando got the win in that, if I'm not mistaken. He was a Cy Young and Rookie of the Year that year. That's a big memory. But mine pretty much started in the 70s. Once I got out, I realized that, frogs and snakes and hunting and fishing wasn't that big a deal. I love baseball more. So, but we had some great memories, and those losses, we cringe with those losses in the 70s of the A's and the Yankees. Hated Reggie for hitting 4 in a row, but what a great thing.
And sticking his rear end out on the double play and tearing the ball down the right field line. Yeah.
I told you that the other night, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said, like Reggie Jackson sticking his ass out there.
What do you remember that play?
Yeah. And, but anyway, it's got the 70s cringing, and all that stuff. Of course, move into, the greatest. 1988, we talk about that. Me and him, Melissa, our kids are little. We're in our trailer house, and when we beat the Mets in LCS, I know me and him were diving on each other.
Scioscia's home run that night.
Mike Scioscia hit the home run on that one. And, of course, Gibson's and everything. That was great memories of the time beating the Mets in LCS, kind of very similar here. And then winning, of course, beat the A's in 1988. Gibson had the first. Isn't that amazing? Joe Davis called it. Was that not unbelievable?
That was amazing, guys.
That's the greatest. He said it just like Vin did. Awesome call.
And it wasn't forced. It was the same cadence, the same pace, the same timing. It was Rex, you're a broadcaster. Was that not amazing?
That was, yes. I mean, chilling actually, or whatever. You know,
getting chills.
The deja vu factor there.
Yeah.
And again, the ball and hitting the ball to right field. I didn't notice all the taillights going on out in the parking lot like it did when Gibson's ball left and those people were trying to beat the traffic.
Yeah.
You saw a zillion cars and all of a sudden the stoplights go on in every car, the taillights in every car in the parking lot that was trying to get out of there. So, yeah, and how good was Oral Hershiser? You know, I talk about pitching, and again, what Drysdale and Koufax did back in the day. The Drysdale had 6 straight shutouts and 57 scoreless innings. Then Hershiser that year broke that record in '88 with 59 scoreless innings in a row. But he was an absolute animal that year. I mean, in the playoffs. Again, just time after time after time that he stepped up and shut them down. And that was a great A's team with McGuire and Canseco and that whole bunch. And he just, again, great. It always seems like pitching shows up, but some of the classic offensive moments. But, yeah, you go back to the 60s, it was all about Koufax and pitching. And then 81, another factor about 81, I remember being an OSU fan, is that we beat George Frazier 3 times in that series. He played at the University of Oklahoma. George, bless his heart, he became a friend. He was a local broadcaster around here in the region. And anyway, but at the time, beating up on one of the Sooners and finally beating winning that series and beating the Yankees, that was a big deal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, Rex, you kind of had a moment like Joe Davis did. Bill Platt, Hall of Fame, one of the greatest announcers at any sport, any level, anywhere, no doubt about it. So he had a famous phrase he would end all of his broadcasts with, "We're rounding third and heading home," right? I mean,
that's correct.
I can hear it in my mind right now like it was absolute yesterday.
Right.
So you got to do that your first broadcast whenever you worked with him and he let you do some play-by-play, kind of like the Braves do. You would do color for 3 innings, and you would do play-by-play for 3 innings, and you do color for 3 innings. And so the first time that you got to take it over by yourself, you got to do what Joe Davis did.
Right.
You got to say rounding third and heading home in tribute to Bill Platt, just like Joe Davis got to give a tribute to Vin Scully. Right. Tell us what that was like for you and what it had to be like for him.
Well, again, and of course, we just got so close. I mean, he's the one that got me on the air to begin with. Back, I started with wrestling. But I was raw and I was an Okie and I talked through my nose and he worked with me all the time about getting, and pronouncing your words correctly. He said, well, you're saying you're still a little bit too much of a drawl here or whatever. And
you're a little bit too much Randall out there, Rex.
Gave me some tips on how to do of course, he's a legendary broadcaster. And then the next thing I know, Jack Griffith retires from wrestling, and I'm the voice of OSU wrestling as a student at Oklahoma State. And then as I progressed along, and one day he came in, I forget, he goes, next year when you do wrestling, but as soon as you're done with wrestling, you're with me full time. And of course, we work for the same people. And then he brought me in. He said, I'm going to give you half of the play-by-play year one, about 1982 or whatever it was that I got in there. And he would do, like I say, he would do a couple innings. I'd do a couple innings, or what? We passed it back and forth and did color for each other. But I got to know him so well. And, all of his lines, he had great, landing like a butterfly with sore feet and all of the, instead of can of corn, he'd say something about drinking Folgers coffee and while a pop-up was coming down. And he had a lot of great lines. Or he's sure going to be a big help, and say some guy coming to the plate. He's 6'4", 230 pounds, and he's going to be a big help to his pappy when he grows up, things like that. A lot of those folky type sayings, and they were all good. Yeah. I try not to repeat those. When I took over, I tried to develop my own pattern. Sure. Every broadcaster has his own. But I missed him, and he, even that last year, he'd come up sometimes just sit in the booth when he wasn't doing real well health-wise, but he'd come up, sit in the booth, and just sit and watch the game, and it's good to have him around. And again, I missed him when I was all of a sudden I'm flying solo, so I got a couple of different guys who helped me out. But, that first year, and particularly after he was gone, I did a tribute to I didn't want to use his line. I don't even know if I have one. I just say so long, everybody. Yeah. But I wanted to, like I say, create my own and not copy the legend. But once in a while, I break it out, but it's special. Like the last time you went to Omaha.
I still tear up. It's like
I was in South Carolina, and I was there and rounding third and heading to Omaha. At the Cowboys were going back to the World Series, I once in a while I break it out as a tribute and mention that it's a tribute to the late great Bill Platt, and again I owe my career to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and if I know the Holt brothers as well as I think I do, there's a temper in there too. So there's been some years where the Dodgers haven't been as good as they are this year, right? So kind of take us through what. Yeah, right. Okay, so take us through what it's like finally getting back, finally being the best team in baseball, at least at this point in the season, after some of the years becoming a diehard, and then having years where you're not in the World Series when you started expecting to go almost every year when you were a kid, right?
Oh yeah. There was stretches there, and again, I've liked me and Tony are the same. I mean, other than the COVID year when they did win it down in Houston and all of that, or down in Dallas, I should say, and but all the years where you had the best team during the regular season, and for whatever reason, it just didn't work out in the playoffs, and that does get frustrating when you're again just a dominant team every year, and then you come up short in the playoffs. And again, I remember how the Game 7 with the Trastros were slapping the trash cans, and Darvish, we faced him just not too long ago, and that whole Game 7, and we find out later that they were tipping pitches and all of that, and even though they didn't get anything taken away from them, they cheated. But that still hurts me. I hate that. I hated that we were together watching that game, and anyway, this one's not over. And you know how baseball is. The tide can swing in a hurry, and all of a sudden you're saying, "What happened?" That can happen with a team, especially as good as the Yankees. So, we're up 2-0. That's great, but my tipper still comes through, even when I'm doing OSU. And the one thing that bothers me more than anything, Case, is you listen. It's the leadoff walk.
Oh my God!
I just cannot. And particularly a game on the line, and guys come in, he's warmed up, he's ready to go, when he comes out and throws 4 straight pitches out of the zone and walks the leadoff man with the game on the line. That is, again, errors and things. I can live with that. Edmund made an error the other night trying to make a play, but he makes so many good plays. Those are going to happen in competition. But I just don't understand guy coming in and afraid to compete. I don't know. Maybe they're just wild. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling on most of the time on the college level and when I'm, again, locked into the Dodgers, that you got guys who are afraid to throw the ball in the strike zone because of again, go after them. Sandy Koufax, he said he got good when he started trying to make the batter hit the ball. He tried to hide it. He tried to get them to swing and miss. And finally, at some point, when he became the superstar, unbelievable pitcher he was, in his book, which I've read, he said when it just clicked one day, I'm going to try to make the hitter hit every pitch I throw. I want to make it enticing where he's going to swing at it instead of trying to get him to miss. And that's when his career took off. His control arrived. And I still believe that. You got to trust your stuff. You got to go after people. Yeah. If you get 2 strikes on them, don't run the count back out to 3 and 2. Go get them now.
Yes.
And that's the one thing that still gripes me to no end.
Yeah, I can remember, I've heard you do this before, and I laugh every time I hear you do this. You go, that dang leadoff walk, it comes in and score every time. And, Chief has a sense of humor, and he'll say something like, well, not every time, Rex. And you'll go, yeah, it's every time in my mind because it's every time I remember it.
Right.
So it's 100% of the time to me.
You open an inning by putting on a free runner, and you're just inviting the other team to get on the board. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So that's the one thing still of all of it that it gripes me to no end.
Yeah.
Professional broadcaster and everything, but he's still a fan. He's a fan of the Dodgers, OSU, and he doesn't let that show through too much like I would probably. I'd be pissed all the time, but he does a lot better job at that. But how about our boy Alex Vesia? He wasn't scared to throw it over the damn plate last night.
I'm just glad he swung at the first pitch. It didn't even give him time to get nervous.
Yeah, hey, 1 pitch, game over. Let's go have a cold one.
Yeah, it was over before he realized what was going on.
Grand slam.
Yeah, right.
1 pitch in both games. And Freddie hits it out to win the game, and their guy pops up, and
good stuff.
That's that.
I'm not going to lie. Whenever Trinan walked, who was it? Rizzo? I was puckered. I was like, oh, no, this is not good.
And Rizzo will swing and pitches out of the zone all day long.
Yep.
Just get it up there.
Yeah.
But, again, I think a lot of times the guys are trying to make that perfect pitch. Yeah. And if you can, so be it. But for the most part, go after the hitter. Trust what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Tron has been magic. It was almost breaking too much last night.
Yeah, it was.
You don't usually miss that far, but he is so dirty, as we talked about several times, straight to the left break. And it just but he pitched the night before. I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and act like I know, but it's 22 pitches the night before. I guess he's about 30 last time. Whatever. Even though that happened, the guy still got the job done. So credit to him.
Hey, I wanted to bring up this point before we get out of here. 2020, I wanted to recognize. Remember, Austin Barnes had to come in. Will Smith was struggling a little bit, calling pitches and handling the pitching staff and that kind of deal. Brought in Austin Barnes. He got everything stabilized. I think that was a big factor to winning that one. So I say that to come full circle. I want people to realize just how great of a job Will Smith did in the 9th inning last night, because you mentioned how nasty that slider was, Coach Holt. Will blocked about 2 or 3 of them, and Rex, well, Coach, you've coached forever. Rex, you've seen it at the highest levels of college baseball, doing play-by-play for it. When you have a breaking ball pitcher, which you have to throw breaking balls to the big hitters of the Yankees, the big three especially, you have to be able to trust your catcher to be able to bury that breaking ball in the dirt and to be able to stop it. And Will Smith hung in there, and to me, in a lot of ways, the way that he was able to make Trinan feel like he could bury his breaking ball in the dirt was an MVP at the end of that game.
Right. Well, again, we've had great catchers here at Oklahoma State, but we've also had years where the catcher was looking at me more than he was looking at the pitcher. And that just drives you nuts, It does. But the pitcher has to have the luxury, particularly as a breaking ball slider guy, to be able to let it loose, not worry about it. You cannot be worried about that. You got to let it go. And hopefully, like I say, trust your stuff. But have a catcher back there that can block that thing and keep it right there and keep the runners where they are on the bases and block the pitches. That's invaluable, no doubt.
Case we talked about that when Smith was struggling offensively, how important he was for what he was doing. Not only blocking, but calling the game and handling pitch. And he's seen so many, especially those bullpen games. He's seen a different pitcher every freaking inning. It's hard enough on the hitters, but he's done a great job. He's a great catcher. He's been a stabilizing force back there. And man, when he hits one, when he gets a home run, it's dead center field. So when he juices one, he juices it pretty good usually, but he's invaluable behind the plate.
He absolutely is. I'm going to get you guys' final thoughts. I know, Rex, you mentioned how quick. I mentioned it on the post game yesterday how quickly that 2-0 lead could go away. You could easily see yourself after Game 4 in a flash being tied 2-2 in this series. That's just how good the Yankees are. So, hey, final thoughts on what you're feeling good about, what you're nervous about, and things moving forward.
Well, obviously, again, I guess Walker Buehler, I'm a little nervous about him. He's showing signs that maybe he's back on track a little bit, and he's probably going to get the next start. Then, I don't know, they're going to have another bullpen day after that, but that's probably going to be the case before they can roll back around. So, and then maybe get back to Flaherty if there is a Game 3. Hopefully there's not. If they're, Game 5, I guess it would be at that point. But they're going to be nuts in New York. They're going to be absolutely hanging from the, light standards and going crazy. And they're going to have all of that juice. And, again, they've got some absolute studs in their lineup, no doubt. Some of the best in the game. And they can stack them up on you, too, just like the Dodgers can. So, again, it's all going to come down to pitching, and I think defense, and I think the Dodgers are just a little bit better handling just outfield, infield defense, throwing to the right bases, running the bases properly, stealing. But the little things, I think the Dodgers are maybe got a little bit of an edge in that area over the Yankees, but Yankees can bash with the best of them. So I'm just hoping Walker Buehler, again, he doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to shut them out, but just keep you in the game so you can get to the bullpens, and then the edge swings to the Dodgers.
That is exactly right. Coach?
Best thing is he's mentioned the starting pitching still a concern. The first 2 games have been great. Yamamoto, tremendous. Flaherty outside the one pitch, was a great. And we'll wait and see Bueller. As we mentioned, Case, he's gotten a little bit better every game from the day when we saw him back in August. Oklahoma City getting lit up by the AAA hitters. He's come so far, and that's going to be big to see how he pitches tomorrow. I'm still concerned with the starting pitching. What I'm not concerned with, and Rex can echo this, we've sat there and been pissed off when we got beat.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about the pretty boy. It's almost the la-la land.
Yeah.
Dodger fans come late, leave early. You got a bunch of pretty boys. You got Hollywood stars in the stands. This, and me and you've been saying this a lot, and he can avouch. This team is gritty. Our manager's gritty. He's making tough decisions. He's not hesitating to pull guys when he has to. He's had to make tough decisions all year long, dealing with all the injuries. But this is a gritty team. You got guys that brought some of that with you, with Edmund, some of those guys, but this is we call it dirt daubers, whatever you want to call it. This is probably the more gritty team that talent off the charts. 3 MVPs top of the order. Yankees got the same thing, but this is a little bit more of a dirt dauber team. That when they get behind, they don't panic. And go back to Kike Hernandez. Me and Rex is going to get those T-shirts. Remember what he said? We just don't give. That's it.
That would be absolutely fitting for the Holt brothers. Are you going to show it to Gladys, your mother?
She would probably laugh now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys suck. She's had us so long now, we can't sneak you by.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been such a wonderful honor to have. Of course, Coach Holt was my Legion coach. Rex Holt has been. We've been good friends for a long, long, long time. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent listening to him call baseball for Oklahoma State, me chewing my nails and cussing. And well, Rex will tell you I got a temper about all that stuff too. So, hey, this has been a wonderful honor to have both of you on. And go Dodgers, right?
Well, no doubt about it. Well, I'm all in, and I'm not going to miss a pitch, and we'll see what. And the other night, I was doing a high school football game. I didn't answer my phone. I got home at 11 o'clock, sat down and watched the game in its entirety. Didn't know the outcome. That was a fun night Friday. I stayed up late, but it was a fun Friday night.
And I usually text him and talk shit, and I'm glad I didn't, because I would have ruined it for him. Anyway, Case, I love my brother. I love you guys. Tell Beverly and Terry hello. Love you guys. Can't wait till tomorrow night for the Dodgers, and go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers. Thanks, Case.